There's an expectation, maybe another quarter point, and then that's it. So has Jay Powell threaded the needle and stuck the landing all at the same time? KJP says so. White House spokeshuman Karine Jean-Pierre, the quadruple threat, had this yet to say in terms of what the Biden administration sees for our economic future.
We do not see a recession or pre-recession. We see a strong economy, and it's because of the work that this president has done.
She may live to regret those words, assuming she's capable of regret. So we heard from the former host of the Captain Kangaroo Show, who's the Treasury Secretary now, the other day, that the banking system is stable. Said that at an American Banking Conference. And we heard yesterday, after the quarter-point rate hike, that do not see a recession in the future. We see blue sky for as far as the eye can see. All right. Well, isn't that great? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Scott the Cow Guy Shellady. You know Scott. He's the market specialist for Market Day Report, 10:30 Chicago time to 1. And the Cow Guy Close, he hosts at 1 o'clock Chicago time, both at RFD TV. Scott the Cow Guy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
All right. So it was expected. What Powell did was expected. And yet the market reacted unfavorably yesterday. Explain.
Well, I mean, I think slowly but surely the market's waking up to the fact that things aren't that good. I mean, you just heard Karine Jean-Pierre say that we have blue skies and the economy's great. But if the economy's that great, how does she explain 2 bank failures? I mean, this is these people are whistling by the graveyard. We have some systemic problems in our country, and it's not going to go away very quickly because we've had 15 years of free money from the Fed, and they're trying to get out of that trade. And in doing so, we're trying to rip the biggest Band-Aid of all time off of our banking system, and it's going to hurt. We still have overvalued earnings reports. We've got. I still think the stock market is vulnerable, and I think that the numbers that we're getting from the Bureau of Labor Statistics or the Department of Energy or whatever are highly suspect because they have not been able to fully take into consideration the pandemic. So we got problems, and Tuesday I was on a couple of shows, being interviewed about, is this banking thing over? The world's central banks linked arms to try to bolster everybody's confidence. And I said, no. I mean, we had reports a day earlier that 186 banks in the U.S. were on the verge. And all of a sudden, one day later, everything's fine? I mean, I don't understand how people think that these things come and go that quickly. We've got a ways to go yet, and we still are fighting inflation. Now, he might be right about not having any more rate hikes, because if he successfully destroyed the economy, our 6% inflation rate will absolutely come down. He's still shooting for 2%. I think that's pie in the sky. I think that's going to be very, very difficult. As you bring down inflation, the lower it goes, the harder it is to get it lower, because a lot of the things that are left around are like labor. You're going to have to put people out of work to get that labor component down. So there's some really difficult things coming around the corner, and still we have layoffs from high-tech companies happening, layoffs from regular companies happening. Foot Locker announced yesterday they're closing 400 stores. How does Karine Jean-Pierre tell me that that is a fantastic economy that's just going, gangbusters? This, we're being lied to right to our faces, and people have to wake up to the fact that most of the news, if not all of the news, is bearish, and be careful. The time is not to be lackadaisical. You have to be very vigilant and disciplined right now. I think it's going to be hard the next 6 to 12 months. I think it's going to be a bit difficult.
So, do we have a sort of a mass delusion driving Fed policy? Because everybody looks to Jay Powell and what he's going to do, what the Fed is going to do. But it really seems to me that now, because he's between the rock and the hard place, he's just doing what the mob expects him to do. If he had done nothing, then people would say, oh my gosh, the banking crisis is worse than we thought. If he had done a half a point, oh my gosh, inflation is worse than we thought. So he just does what's expected. So is Jay Powell driving this train, or is it just market expectations, the CNBC investotainment crowd driving it?
A lot of times it is that investotainment crowd, and a lot of times it's the bond market drives the crowd. The bond market's so much bigger than the equity market, and a lot of average everyday Americans don't pay attention to the bond market. But the bond market is telling me, I think, that there's still some nerves ahead. The gold market's telling me that people are still very afraid. But with Jay Powell, he skipped over the question. He actually played politics, to me, if you ask me, yesterday a little bit, because what nobody's saying, I watched all the Sunday shows. I try to do my homework. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole of just, say, watching Fox. I watched MSNBC. I watched CNN. I watch them all, as unwatchable as they are. But not once, anywhere, did anybody address the fact that the whole reason that Jay Powell is in here being puppeted around left, right, and center is because of our government spent $6 trillion. Why doesn't anybody say anything about that? They're not saying the fact that they give drunken sailors a bad name. Drunken sailors stop spending when they run out of their own money. These people keep spending our money. And so nobody addresses the fact that we're in this situation because of them. And now Jay Powell has got a problem on his hands. And what is that problem, Shellady? The problem is this. He's trying to solve a psychological problem with blunt monetary tools. That is almost impossible.
Well, also,
almost impossible.
Also, what he says is not exactly accurate. And Judy Shelton had a good piece in the Wall Street Journal about this too. He says all we can do is affect demand, and so this is we're going to hammer people's brokerage accounts, and that's going to reduce demand and reduce inflation. But she makes the point. Well, interest rate hikes have effect on supplies because it has effect on capital formation and business creation. So, no, you can affect the supply side too. And her point is basically to yours, which is paying people not to work is inflationary. Paying people to supply goods is not inflationary.
Right, right. Okay, so I see where he's coming from. You're right. He does affect the supply side with interest rates. However, it would be much easier for the supply side, which is the administration, which is our government, right? If they could address the fact that if we could get oil down to $40 a barrel, that would help with inflation massively. It would put Putin out of business, and it would get a lot of money going, and that would help with prices because everything's higher because of gas prices being higher. That supply side there would be much less bloody if they would do that instead of raise interest rates. Because if the prices came down because oil was flowing freer and we were putting Putin out of business, things would be a lot better. That's the supply side I think that a lot of folks talk about. Now, yes, Jay Powell he's affecting the supply side by killing everybody. He's walking out of the doctor's office saying, good news is your virus, we killed your virus. Bad news is the patient's dead. That's all he can do. And he's killing the patient, which is the economy, with his interest rate hikes, which is also hurting supply. But if he would just slow his roll and somehow work hand in hand with the government, but that came up yesterday in his statement, and he says we just deal with it as and when it comes. Well, you know what? That's not good enough. He needs to go talk to him and say stop spending, but he doesn't. So now he's got this problem of hike rates and continue with more contagion, or leave rates alone and continue with more inflation. Is it contagion or inflation? You want to be killed with a gun or a knife? It's up to you.
You mentioned the report about the 186 banks could be teetering. Does anybody, the administration, the Fed, does anybody really have a handle on how many banks are in a precarious position per, a la Silicon Valley Bank, a la Signature Bank of New York?
No. They don't have a handle on that, and they don't have a handle on how many businesses are going to have to refinance a lot of their debt this year. Stephanie Pomboy does a great piece on that about how a lot of businesses are going to go out of business because they're going to have to roll over some debt and have to refinance, and they won't be able to. We're in a position here now where there's some respectable people out there that I've followed for the last 25 years, and I'm getting worried that they're talking too much doom and gloom. But if you look at the numbers, it suggests that we are Pollyannish. we are whistling by the graveyard. We can't continue with this. 15 years of low to zero interest rate and a massive accommodation by the Fed and a government that continues to spend money, again, like a drunken sailor, sorry to drunken sailors. That has got us in a spot where we have got to rip the world's largest Band-Aid off of this problem, and it's not going to be without pain.
All right, Sean from Elmwood Park has a question for you, if you're ready to take one. World indicators, this is Sean talking. World indicators, and if the cleanest dirty shirt excuse will work for the next 2 years.
Okay, world indicators and the cleanest dirty shirt. Well, I mean,
it's Sean.
I think he's talking about our.
Well, he's basically we're the tallest skyscraper
skyscraper
in Wichita, and that's what's going to save us, right?
Well, no, we're the tallest, in a circus. Yeah, okay. Well, yes, because what's happening now is we've got a situation where our legislatures who are spending money crazily are looking at our debt to GDP ratio and saying, well, it's only 120% or 124%, whatever it is today. So, which means that our debt is 124% of our GDP, and that's bad. I mean, that's historically very bad. But they're turning, like Sean's intimating, to Japan and saying, well, they're over 200%. We've got a lot of room. We're not that bad.
We've got a lot of room.
That's exactly what they're thinking. The only way we got out of this the last time was World War II, and 43% of Americans think we're heading for World War III. I mean, I got a report from Adobe Analytics yesterday. Get a load of this. The first 2 months of this year, the amount of people that were buying now and paying later, a new feature that everybody's being offered when they're going to whatever their store they're going to, rose by 10% in the first 2 months. And of that 10%, 40% was people buying now and paying later for their groceries. So that's a Karine Jean-Pierre about how great the economy is. People are putting groceries on buy now, pay later. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Layaway
Basically, you're putting your Frito-Lay on layaway.
Well, they're hoping that some rich person comes in and feels sorry for all those people and pays it off like they do at Walmart during Christmas time.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but this whole thing is sliding towards, we're now maybe going to be backing all the deposits in the banking system.
Yeah.
$9.2 trillion of them. I mean, one World Bank or one American bank. Let's not even go to the world yet. So, did you hear last week they slipped it out while everybody was panicking over SVB, the Silicon Valley Bank? That in July we're coming up with our central bank digital currency. We're going to have the dollar is going to be a central bank digital currency now in July.
That's what.
So now,
yeah,
you're going to have a government debit card that they can control. They might not like, and everybody tells me, I don't have a tinfoil hat on. This is exactly what happened to the truck drivers in Canada. They shut off their banking system. Okay, this is the control that they want. So now we're going to have one bank, a central bank digital currency. I mean, how big is the nanny state going to get? You don't have to pay back your student loan. Don't worry about that. Oh, and we're going to continue to invest your retirement in ESG. I mean, this is all careening down a really bad pathway, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. Christine Lagarde, the European Central Bank, talked about that as well, and she made this sort of statement that is open to interpretation, but, given her political posture, it's a little bit chilling, which is that the central banks, like European Central Bank, are for bankers. The central bank is for bankers. We're for bankers. That sounds very much like what we're seeing. I mean, the consolidation and the putting on your finger on the scale for the big banks, and then you offer this because of the pushback. You offer the Janet Yellen, we'll back everybody's deposit just like we back everybody's student loan and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's going to create great behavior, right? Yeah. Every CEO of every small bank's like, now I can really roll the dice. What do I got to worry about? I mean, it's insane. It's just insane.
Scott the Cow Guy Shellady, market specialist for Market Day Report, 10:30 a.m. The Cow Guy close, 1 p.m., both at RFD TV. Scott the Cow Guy, thanks as always.
All right, guys, have a good day.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch. and it feels so good. You switch to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Emmanuel Palatine is more than just a preschool to grade 8 school. It's a family, a community of people partnering together to achieve the best academic, spiritual, and social success for each student. Emmanuel students don't need to question their identity. They know they are exactly who God has made and redeemed them to be. The teachers foster an environment for academic, spiritual, and personal growth through differentiated instruction for your child. Grade 7 students are immersed in marine biology during an annual trip to Sea Camp San Diego. The kids are volunteering at Feed My Starving Children, the West Virginia mission trip, and participating in refugee simulations that enable students to recognize and appreciate the diversity of the world. In addition to their 2-time Blue Ribbon Award-winning academic excellence, students can take part in fine arts, music, chess, world language, and award-winning athletic offerings that balance out a well-rounded Emmanuel Palatine student. The future is very bright for your child at Emmanuel Palatine. Set up a tour today. Visit ilcpschool.org. That's ilcpschool.org.
Getting hacked is exhausting. My Twitter account is gone. Changing passwords, trying to beat the cyber criminals I can't take it. But you know what's going to make the day better? Balance of nature. Didn't get enough fruits and veggies on my own last night, so that is where Balance of Nature comes in. 31 whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real science, real nutrition, and get the nutrition your body needs. And people that take it say, wow, they've gotten their health back, they have more energy, they have more stamina, and then they sleep better at night. So this is what you do. You call this number, 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago. First timers get free shipping and 35% off their first preferred order of fruits and veggies, or simply go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to use discount code Chicago.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all